Why love and money? Let's talk about it. Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the Abundantly Ever After show, hosted by yours truly. I'm Jovhannah Tisdale, the spiritual love healer. And I've had this question asked before, and it kind of caused me to take a few twists and turns, but it all came back full circle. So I want to go ahead and put it out there because I do talk about love and money. And here's why. Relationships touch every single area of our lives, and money touches every single area of our lives. So when I say living abundantly ever after, it's because when you heal one, you heal the other. As you work on improving your relationships, of course, first and foremost, your relationship with yourself, you're also going to naturally improve your relationship with money. As you come to improve your relationship with money, you're going to also improve your relationships. When I say relationships, it is not just about romantic partnerships, the person that you date, the person that you sleep with. It's also about the relationship with yourself, with your family. If you have children, it's also that relationship. It's about the people that you connect with at work. It's about your connection to self and others. And then on a deeper level, we also have a relationship with money. We also have a relationship with the places that we live in, the places that we frequent, our cars, so on and so forth. We are constantly interacting with the world around us, creating relationships, whether they are major, minor, long-term, short-term, or somewhere in between. We have a number of relationships, but we tend to only focus on just romantic ones. So like I was saying, we have relationships with almost everything that we encounter in our lives. When you start to expand how you view relationships, it takes a lot of pressure off, and it makes it so much easier to focus on healing. Money is more than just the coins and the paper. It's energy. It is a frequency. It's currency. And just like relationships, they are both spiritual, energetic based. So I want to talk about and explain more, I guess, why I talk about money when I'm the spiritual love healer. Love is a common thread. And something that I have seen for women is that oftentimes they have been financially disempowered within relationships. And going back years before women even had the right to vote, to work, they couldn't even have their own bank accounts. And I believe that was within the last 50 to 60 years, so fairly recent. And really coming to a place of understanding that using and obtaining money is very new for women, which meant that often their partners could hold things over their head because they didn't have the ability, the financial means to get up and leave. And that was also a very taboo thing for women to leave or be single. And in some places that still exists. So my dear sister, goddess Afua, aka Just Afua, she is a international singer, songwriter, Grammy nominated artist, who wrote and produced the amazing song, Yeah, I'm a Goddess. She is Ghanaian, and she went back to Ghana a couple years ago to, visit and stay for a while. And some of her relatives were very disapproving that she didn't want to stay in their homes because she was there visiting. And in their culture, if you are a single woman, you're not supposed to live alone. You're supposed to be with family. Because it was a long trip while she was there, she got her own space, rented an apartment or whatever. And they were not happy with that. So some of these things that I'm speaking about still persist today. And the fact that women still earn less. And the fact that if you are a Black woman, you earn even less. So, this is a very real thing. And, I've shared that years ago, I was in an abusive relationship. I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't have the money to leave. I was depending on him for a lot, which put me in a bad place. So I know what it's like to be financially manipulated and abused. And when you do not have, financial stability or security, you can't protect or advocate for yourself. You can't always get the resources that you need for yourself. And that taught me I cannot ever put myself in a situation where I have to be that dependent upon someone else, because if they are not a good person or whatever the case, because things change, right? So I never wanted to put myself in a situation where they have that control over me. I wanted to make sure that I was liberated from being controlled, having to be dependent, and also to make sure that I always had the resources that I needed for health and wellness, for legal protection or advice, to travel, like whatever it is that I want to make sure that I always got me and mine and not have to depend on anyone else. It is my desire for myself and for everyone else to be financially stable, independent, and secure. So that's just a tiny bit of why I talk about money. I also think it's really important because as women, our wombs have become weaponized against us. There are men who seek to impregnate you. Sometimes, yes, because they love you, because they want to have a family with you. They want to grow and sustain a family with you. But there are also men who want to impregnate you because it is a method of control and abuse. Reproductive abuse is a very real thing. That's something that I'm going to be talking about later. It's in one of the books that I'm writing, where I'm talking about instances of reproductive abuse and other types of trauma. So it's coming. I've got a lot of things in the works. So if you're raising a child or children by yourself, you are financially disadvantaged because you're doing so based off of one income. And it does not really matter how much your income is, because if you are in the higher echelon, of course, you're probably going to have needs and desires that are comparable with that. And like, for instance, maybe you want to put your child in a private school. That's not cheap. Coming out of one income, still that disempowers you to have the full financial support to raise your child. If you are on the opposite scale of that, we already know what that's like. You are, really struggling to do the day-to-day things sometimes that you need, or perhaps you have to rely on government assistance and things like that, so that it limits what you are able to do sometimes. And so really being able to be empowered financially is very important, so that you do have the financial means to give your children the life that they desire and deserve. Like, there's so many reasons. I can go on and on and on, trying to keep this short. But your relationship with money, it is tied into your worth, your self-worth. As you grow your bank account and start to become a better steward of your financial resources, you will become more confident. You will make better decisions. You will have better boundaries within yourself, as well as for the people that are within your sphere that maybe you might have once given to or, spent a lot of time with. You're going to move a little differently. And it does change a lot for you. Living abundantly ever after is not about just getting out of a bad relationship and going into the next one, or just setting boundaries with people or with your family. It's about truly making sure that you're able to heal from whatever pain, trauma, heartache that you've experienced, helping you to grow, helping you to evolve from that, to learn from that and become a better version of yourself. And also that you're able to thrive. Thriving requires financial resources. Therapy, there are some amazing grant programs where you can get therapy for free, but let's be real, it's not cheap. Right? And even if you do get, free therapy sessions, maybe you need gas to get there. Perhaps you need the money, you need the resources to make sure that you have all the things that you desire and deserve. So living abundantly ever after is about you being able to experience the life, the love, and the abundance that you desire and deserve, so that you can be who you were created to be, so that you can create the life that you desire to live and feel good about it. So I want to be clear, because inside of Loved, which is my membership community, that is where I am devoting a majority of my time. The first book we're reading is The Energy of Money. And as we do this work, we're also, going to talk about and work on self-love, boundaries, our mindset, dating with intention, love lessons, all the things. But we're also working on our purses as well as we work on our healing, because this is a holistic experience where we are gathering our mind, our emotions, our body, our spirit, all the things. Because when we can get all of that into balance, into harmony, it creates a beautiful synergistic energy that changes everything. That is how you are able to quantum leap into a different life, by doing a whole self-transformation. And it does take time, but it is possible. I am living proof. I have stepped out of versions of myself and into new versions and elevated myself every single time. So the reason why I feel like it's good to focus on money, because it also operates as a great distractor. Now hear me out. A lot of times when you get out of a relationship, you can sit and obsess over what happened, what went wrong, things that they said, the things that you should have said, the things that you did, the things that you said. And you kind of replay that over and over and over again. And maybe you're laying in bed at night and you can't sleep and you're sad and you're missing this person. And you're like, I miss them. All of these things, of course, are normal because you are grieving a loss. But if you make it your mission, your intention, your personal project to focus your energy on yourself in some way, like getting your money together. When you're laying there in bed and you start to get those thoughts and you're like, you know what? I do miss this person, but this relationship was not truly serving me. And you can say, you know what? Instead of going down that rabbit hole, let me pick up this book and read. Let me learn how to use some budgeting software. Let me figure out what a budget is, how one can work for me. Let me develop my spending plan. Let me check my credit. Let me see about doing a little bit of credit repair. You are going to be so busy getting you together that you're going to have a little less time to focus on that. And I am not saying to avoid what it is that you feel. I'm saying to redirect the energy into something more positive. That's what I'm saying. So I feel like if we're going to be distracted, that it's good to have a positive distraction that's going to help you grow and elevate versus ones where you may stagnate or maybe get into unhealthy habits and so forth. So we are going to take really good care of ourselves by learning something new. We're going to learn about money, its energy, how we can magnetize it, because the same principles can be applied to your relationships. And most importantly, like I said before, it ties into your worth and your deservability and the love that you have for yourself. All of this for me started with self-love. And of course, that came first with a mindset shift that I like to call positive forward movement. It's like when the light bulb goes off and you realize that you really need to make a change because, the situation is not what you need. You need to get away from it. You need some sort of change. So I always tell my clients the transformation really starts with the awareness. When you get to that point where you're like, I'm sick of this. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. This ain't what I want. This is not what I need. It starts with you coming into the awareness that something needs to change. So that happened for me. And then I was able to pour on the self-love. I did a lot of reflection, and that's not always the pretty part because I had to swallow a really big pill in realizing that I was participating in my own suffering, and nobody really wants to do that. Like, holding yourself accountable is hard work. And I'm not saying that to say that you cause or that you manifest abuse or the bad things that happen, but I do mean that to say that sometimes we subconsciously or unknowingly, because we are operating out of wounding and trauma, where maybe we just lie down and we become doormats, or we think, this is all that I can get, so I'm just going to accept it. And that's okay, because we all have had some sort of something in our lives that caused us to act not out of our best and highest good. Okay. And you know what? Sometimes these things occur, but I look at it like when I'm able to learn something within those low places and those yucky spaces, that is something that I'm now able to change so that I can elevate and, participate in better for myself going forward. So I'm really excited because we're in for a great year in 2024 for truly manifesting love, success, and abundance. My intention is to go hard in bringing forward the conversations, the wisdom that I've been blessed to share and teach, because it's time for change. I shared on my Instagram the other day, I'll try to link that somewhere in the description, a video that I recorded some years ago, and it was based off of a post I saw somewhere that said how women need to stop giving crowns to clowns. And I really did agree with that sentiment. But my thought process is that there should be less clowns. And I'm really ready for the blame of women need to do this, or it's a woman's fault, or they need to choose better, la, 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 la. I want to see that stop. I don't want to see that continue, that narrative continue to be perpetuated, because it is false. There is a war that is going on, a spiritual warfare, and what I would love to see is accountability on a grand scale. I do feel like women have been holding themselves accountable for quite some time. And first it was, you attracted that guy because you don't love yourself, right? Women were told that they were attracting bad partners because we didn't love ourselves enough. When in reality, we attracted bad partners because, number one, they existed. And a lot of times, we are natural healers and nurturers. And if you're like me, you can see the good in somebody. And so you wanted to help. Sometimes it's because we didn't really know better. Because did they reveal their true selves? Probably not. And then sometimes we're operating out of trauma or wounding. Then we started doing the self-love work. We started doing the spiritual work. We started educating ourselves, diving into our hobbies, traveling, opening businesses and all of these different things. We started loving ourselves and taking our energy back to ourselves. And there's a beautiful, beautiful rise of the divine feminine that is occurring right before our eyes. And there are many men who are also doing this type of work, who are talking about men going to therapy, advocating self-love for men and healthy relationships and all of these things. I would love to see that magnified on a grand scale, because we can no longer continue to operate out of individualistic mindsets. There are a number of reasons of why our communities and our family structures have been disintegrated. And we see the state of the world today. The world needs love. We need love. We need spiritual love. We need harmony, peace, connection, collaboration, communication, unity. And that is what I am here to bring as the spiritual love healer. It's been years since I was called to work with men and I've had male clients in the past and I love them. I love working with men because I feel like there's space for profound transformation to occur, but I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to weave that in, but I know deep in my heart that's something that I'm here to do as well. And before I could truly hold space for them, I had to get right within myself with those things and how I felt about working with men, my own wounding and biases around working with men, and come to a place of compassion and forgiveness with men as a collective, because they, especially Black men, are operating with some heavy karmic, generational, ancestral guilt that they are unaware of. And so I would like to shed light on that so that we can all heal and live abundantly ever after together. Because yes, we are suffering, but do you know who is suffering the most? It's the children. The children are suffering the most, and they are our future. So if we as the adults and as the elders, as the wise ones, as the way showers of these young souls, if we can get it together, that means our children will have it together. One of the reasons too that I was very passionate about working with women is that because I am a mother and I have 2 girls. So with the things that I've experienced, I wanted to be sure that my children did not have to go through those things. And I realized that as women, we are the backbone, the foundational pillars of our communities and of our families. So if we are healthy, whole, healed, and complete, our children will also be healthy, whole, healed, and complete. And then our men, and that just radiates and ripples out into our communities and so on and so forth. So I am really passionate about this, doing my work as a spiritual love healer to heal one heart at a time and just allow each heart to light up and touch another heart and so on and so forth. So there's so much that I will be covering. I will be getting deeper into the spiritual aspects of relationships. So if you are interested in learning more about the frequency of love, I have an introductory course. The link is in the show notes in the description. It is called Energy of Love 101, Introducing the Frequency of Love, that is available on my website for just $27. And inside of my loved community, I'm going to be talking more about the spiritual warfare component, diving deeper into that, also talking about some of the ways in which we can protect ourselves and sharing how to heal from reproductive abuse, going deeper into finances, so on. And I'm excited. So Loved is a new community that has evolved from previous offerings that I've created, and I'm just weaving it all together in one beautiful place. So that's also available. There are different tiers that you're able to join in. There's also going to be an exclusive podcast within that community, so members can get backstage where we'll talk more about all the things in love. We'll be doing some confessionals, and it's going to be great. So even going deeper into some of my own love lessons, having guests come on, talking about these things as well. And so as a community member, you will get backstage access, which means you'll have exclusive access to information about the episodes, understanding the behind the scenes of it all. It's going to be phenomenal. So if you want to tap in with me inside of Loved, that's also on my website. I'll include the link. I am so grateful to be a healer and a teacher in this space. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, I will see you again soon. Peace.